What's up guys, Barry Nobles here. We're currently in Rock Hill, South Carolina. With World Champs only 2 months away, I figured we'd take you guys on the track and give a detailed walkthrough on what to expect on this track. All right guys, we're obviously gonna start off on the starting hill. We're on the 5-meter one, and this one's a little bit different than normal. It's still the traditional 5-meter hill, but if you look, there's no kink at this track. So this gate here at Rock Hill, the gate is going to be steeper than probably any other gate you've actually been. Normally, we have a flatter, traditional 15-degree kink that drops into the small hill, but here, we're one angle, one steep hill, all the way to the bottom. All right, first jump. I'm 5'6". You can see this is a pretty tall tabletop. Coming to the bottom of this hill, there's a bit of a kink at the bottom. You don't really want to pump it like you may see the guys on the Supercross hill. You're really going to want to make sure you charge through this kink. It's going to feel like a little bump, but as long as you charge through, it's going to be the quickest option to get to this first jump. Now being up on the first jump, it's just a straight one long tabletop. You're going to want to get over that tall lip and immediately get on the pedals. You can see here from the landing of the tabletop to the bottom, it's not a deep landing like that lip. So we're pretty much going uphill from that point. So we want to get across that table, charge all the way through, and if we are capable, we want to pedal up and over this roller all the way into this quad. We got a step up, step down. There's a few options here. You could pull up, you could manual across, you could keep it simple and manual up and manual down. This first turn, out of my personal experience, is going to be the most tricky part of this track. You're obviously going to want to shut the door and get on that inside, but that's where it gets a little tricky. So let's talk about this first turn. All right, we're on the inside of the big Rock Hill first turn. And before we get into the turn, let's talk about where this white line puts us. If I'm on this white line covering my inside looking straight up the track, I am dead center of gate 3 and 4. So if you're in 1 or 2, you're actually going to have a little more of a dog leg as you come into this first turn. So come main event, when we all want that inside lane, the inside lanes might not be the best choice leading into this first turn. Now remember, we share this first turn with the Supercross track. So we have a lot of room on the outside and a lot of room on the outside here. When you're coming on the inside of this track, it is going to be very natural to swing super wide and almost line you up for that pro set. But we got to be aware of that because you might have held this inside, but being so far on the inside of this track is going to pitch you very wide. This first turn does not always play favors for the whole shot. It's going to leave a lot of open doors, so when you come in here, you're going to have to be really aware of riders around you, who's squeezing inside, who might have come in a little wider and been able to chop this turn a little better. All right, we've talked about our lines through the turns. Before we move on, this turn is nice asphalted. This whole track does hold up great if rain does come. But this first turn does get slick. I don't know what it is about the asphalt on this turn or the coatings that have been put on top, but it does get slick, so you gotta be careful because I'm telling you, this turn is gonna make or break a lot of racing come Worlds. Now, as we come out of this first turn, I told you it spits you wide. Now, if you look, you might come all the way over here and be lined up with the pro set. But if you notice where these riders are going, we call that question marking, where you go through the turn, you gotta turn back in to get on the straightaway. But if you notice, you can come all the way through that turn and come all the way out here. You're in line with the pro set, but if you look at the dirt right here, it's actually packed smooth, so we have one nice, consistent arch. So you can come out of that turn and aim for out here if you have to. So just because you might have got pushed out wide, doesn't mean you need to squeeze back to the middle of the track. You still have plenty of track over here to get up and over this lip and stay on course. All right, the first jump out of turn 1. We have a big tabletop with another big lip just like coming out of the gate. This one, as you come out of this first turn, you have quite a long sprint, so it's easy to build back speed. And like I said, this tabletop has quite the lip on it. So as we get into those older teen classes, the really fast kids, this jump can be very tricky. I know a lot of riders want to hit a tabletop and get back on your pedals. Well, if you look down here, just after the landing, you come down a really quick, pretty tight landing straight into a roller. So you want to be careful to be a little more patient right here. You don't want to charge straight down that landing, get on your pedals, and then mess up your sprint because of this roller. Maybe if you're a younger rider, you can get a pedal in over the top, but staying low, getting good backside, getting a good pump here, giving you that extra little boost into this double. Jump number 2. This straightaway is not that technical, but this jump does seem to feel a little deeper than normal at times, depending on where you hit it on the track. More than likely, you just swung pretty wide in that turn, and I would hope you'd be riding this white line. If you've gone through that turn and done that check mark like we were talking about and gotten all the way over to the middle of the track, remember, you're taking up a little more real estate than we need. So if you can come out and ride this white line to at least this jump, you know you're gonna cover that inside. Now from this straightaway, if we're close to the white line, we do want to drift a little far outside. Unless you're trying to cover your inside for another rider, you really probably want to aim to about the middle of this step up as we lead into the second turn. It's not too close to the second turn, so if you are riding this white line, trying to cover your inside, it's not that bad. It's obviously going to put you on the inside of the turn, but luckily this turn is actually pretty simple and wide due to it being the berm jump. Inside does hold, but the middle seems to flow a little better. So it's not near as tricky as, say, the first turn. You just want to get a good line, good charge through the middle of this turn, and you really want to have a good drive out of this turn as we lead into the third straightaway, because the third straightaway seems to be a little uphill. Any chance we get going through a turn, we want to make a move. But as I just said, this straightaway is a little uphill. So be cautious if you inside someone here to make that pass, or if you do a high-low, which as wide as this turn is, it's kind of hard to do a high-low through it. So if you make that pass, you want to make sure you pass them early and smooth, because again, this straightaway is slightly uphill. So whatever speed you lose here, you're going to lose on this next straightaway. So you might have made a pass, but if you leave a door open up top, rider might just pedal right back around you and take that position back. I love this turn, how it sets us up for the next straightaway. If you look up here, we have a nice slope coming on the exit here. So if you stay wide, you got a little more downhill slope to really kind of increase that exit speed. This straightaway almost points far left before it doglegs back in. So if you do stay wide, you have plenty of straightaway here, but you almost have to hit this lip and hit back in right to straighten yourself up. It sounds odd, but this is probably my most favorite fun jump out of this whole track. This is a pretty deep, tall step up. I personally definitely don't manual this with my short legs. You want to really kind of have a good scrub if you are jumping it. If you can manual it, you've probably got taller legs and you might gain a little bit here. Again, for the third time, this straightaway does feel uphill. I don't know if it actually is, but you're gonna wanna build as much momentum and be smooth through this straightaway as you get through the next two obstacles. It looks nice and rolled over, but at full speed, it does seem like a sharp, steep landing. Now we're lining back up. Next to, we have two doubles after us. This double after the step up doesn't seem like it's too deep. So if you tap or manual this one, you really wanna commit to that manual. If you do hit this jump with a lazy manual, this landing will jump out and grab you. That foot's broke. I know. They can't get his pants off because his pants are caught on the bone that's sticking out of his shin. So we caught good backside on the step up. We got a good tap manual on this deeper double. Now we're nearly home free. This double right here is pretty mellow. This one's super simple. But with that being simple, notice this white line right here is where the pro section technically ends. So now we go from being on the white line to a lot of inside track leading into this last turn. So if we stay straight from this position, straight into this turn actually puts me on the outside. So this is where we need to be aware. We've cleared that inside white line and we need to start getting over as we lead in this last turn so we're not leaving a wide door open. I did it! Good job. Now, for you riders that might not be up front, you didn't worry about making a pass into that second turn because you wanted to charge this third straightaway and have the most speed you could going into this last turn, which is hopefully in your main event and you're trying to get that podium spot. Now remember, you might be trying to make that move. That lead rider might not have watched this video. They might not know that we need to cover this inside. So take advantage of that opportunity. Be aware of your riders in front of you and see what's going on. If they're staying out here, remember, we have all this inside to get to that white line in the last turn. Now this step up is super simple. You can jump it or manual it, but it is quite of a long manual. So be aware here, make sure you're not getting too lazy because you're at the end of the track. Commit to your manual, finish this jump, and then we worry about this last turn. Rock Hill, final turn, almost on the home stretch. This turn is a great turn for passes. There's been a lot of great moves, whether it's been inside block passes or some epic high lows. With this turn, there's endless possibilities for passing. This turn could be your make or break. All right, as we come through this last turn, hopefully you're leading at this point. I personally like to keep things straight. I don't like the question mark like we talked about coming out of first turn. So if you come through this turn, you might be wide. Well, if you think you need to swing back to the inside, remember, that's taking up a lot of real estate we didn't need to ride on, right? So as we come out of this turn, if you're by yourself, if you have that perfect lap, don't be afraid to stay on this white line. You got one nice straight line straight out of this turn to get you to that finish line the fastest. But obviously we have a rhythm section to talk about. So coming in, we got a good line through the turn. We have good speed on our exit. We want to charge into this one. Some may manual on, manual off this table. I personally like to have a little hop into this roller to get a really good boost, pump, manual off, or my little guys, you might just be pumping. This is a nice rolled over section, but as we get to this roller step up, it might get a little tricky for you. We're gonna have good speed leading in this step up. We just had a full lap on a pretty long track. Our legs are gonna be feeling it at this point. This step up right here is super mellow. As you see here, it's not a tall lip at all, but that landing is a tall landing. So it is another one, if you're lazy on the legs through this manual, this landing can reach out and grab you. Being right here at the last part of the track, hopefully we're in the lead. We don't want to be the one to reach this point and make a mistake, especially if you're charging with a rider. Let that rider be the one to make the mistake. So keep it simple. We're not going to make big gains, so being smooth and consistent is going to be the fastest route to the finish line. Attack these two rollers, get a good stretch, and we're home free. So that's a lap out here for the 2024 Rock Hill World Championships. Remember, it's not all about who gets to that first turn first. This track's not as technical as some of them, but there is tricky spots around the track. So when you get out here for practice, get as many laps as you can, get this track dialed. We all know how to get a gate. You did your training at home, get out here, get this track dialed, and get ready. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you in a couple months.